예, 감사합니다. 연세대학교 정치외교학과의 최종근 교수입니다. 제가 발표문을 영어로 준비해 왔습니다. 그래서 또 외국 선생님들도 계시고 해서 영어로 하겠습니다. 국제기구이기도 한데요. 분위기가 참 협력을 이야기하는 이 시기인데 무겁기 해서 좀 농담으로 좀 대화를 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 제 이름이 최종건인데 영어로 쓰면 Jong Kun CHOI. My name in English is Jong Kun CHOI. The initial is CJK. I think that my father gave me a great name, which I respect them very well nowadays. I'd like to present my stance in English since this is international conference. Given the time is pretty limited, I'd like to just read off from my speech note, but I'll basically here and there take out my essence here. The question given to me was about the essence of the trilateral cooperation. And I'd like to bring out the why TCS is pretty important in the region where cooperation is pretty much barren. This is something that we are always talking about, but it's very much hard to achieve. And to be honest with you, 2017, it is really difficult to be a Korean because we just impeached the president. We have an early election coming up, and also we have North Korea doing whatever they think is right doing, and also we have China, and also Japan, and also we have America led by President Trump. So thank you very much for having me here at the International Forum for Trilateral Cooperation 2017. I think this is very important because of the time that we are in right now. Many people worry about the instability of the security situation in the Korean Peninsula, rightly so. But I believe that TCS is the beacon of the Northeast Asian dream for the peaceful regional order that we are still working very hard to achieve. I think that TCS is the living proof that China, Japan, Korea, CJK, are working very closely to find a common platform to achieve the cooperative regional order in Northeast Asia. But as you know, Northeast Asia has been enjoying a long period without war. Certainly, this is not peace grounded in a strong sense of regional community. Rather, it is a piece of military deterrence coined by the prudent political leaders, which I call crisis stability. The Northeast Asian states are increasingly relying on the striking power of highly accurate conventional system delivered from air and sea. In other words, we are spending a lot of money on military still. For now, it is difficult to imagine Northeast Asia becoming a region driven by security community in a foreseeable future. In other words, in this region, war is not unthinkable. Yet the absence and the maintenance of formative regional order in the region must be acknowledged, something like TCS. The geopolitical considerations and security preparation remain high political priority, but the temptation to use force, military force, as a means of crisis situation is highly constrained. So rendering the use of force very low on the list of policy options in Seoul, Tokyo, and Beijing, but maybe not in Washington, D.C. nowadays. This means the absence of region destroying conflict rather than the absence of conflict per se will continue to characterize our region's security order. So as China rises and Japan strengthens, no single nation will become dominant in the region. And even states like North Korea will survive in a region order free from large-scale war and continue to develop nuclear weapon in its economy. In other words, if you're a European here and looking at Northeast Asia, this region is pretty much complicated with a lot of military characteristics and one might call it realist regional order. But here, people always talk about regional stability without talking about what it really means. So what do we mean by regional stability? The term, the regional stability would mean here in Northeast Asia that combination of their continued political independence, economic development, and integration with the global market, and territorial integrity without any significant probability of becoming engaged in a war for survival. In other words, Northeast Asian regional stability would unfold in a way that each state in the region achieve their political autonomy, economic development, and territorial integrity. As we all know, nationalism in the region also inflames hostile threat perception in the domain of historical and territorial disputes. So, as an IR international relations scholar here, this region is a pretty nice place to study because you have three big nations hating each other in a very certain domain and spending a lot of money on the military, and they think that they're all victims, you know? So then, from a theoretical perspective, it's a very much amazing place. No offense to any New Zealanders here, but sometimes I wonder why wasn't I born in New Zealand? Because it would be really great to be in a peaceful region, but here it's very much dynamic. But on the other hand, our region has also positive aspects too. The gradual burgeoning of minilateral cooperative platform fueled by deepening economic interdependence must be acknowledged as a positive trend to regions, positive trend relative to regions' really bad past. I think that we have developed a high level of economic interdependence, but still remain largely under-institutionalized. The Sino-Korea FTA is the only codified formal agreement in the region, and we also believe that war is sometimes thinkable too. More promising, on the other hand, is that the region has taken the characteristics of complex interdependence through production networks and supply chains. Many people nowadays talk about Chinese sanction on the South Korean economy due to the THAAD issues. I don't want to talk about the dynamics behind it, but still, between Korea and China, our production network are pretty much intense, pretty strong, so much that China and Korea are not fungible. In other words, in terms of the economic activities and trade, we're not replaceable. That means that economic dynamics and interdependence are pretty strong beyond our imaginations. Think about this. If Japan wants to recuperate from the economic recession, they need to increase their trade with China, and it's inevitable. For Chinese export competitive edge, maintaining stable supply chain networks with Korea and Japan are a must. For South Korea's sustainable economic growth, we have no choice but to integrate with the rest of Northeast Asian states, namely Japan and China. Economic interdependence is by nature procedural. If something is procedural, then it's political too. It's an incremental process that increasingly builds structural constraint on state leaders. In other words, even if they really want to invade each other, they can't. They just simply can. Increased economic interaction can help incubate the rise of region-wide stability in the region with increased intra-regional activities, including cross-national border trade, social level interactions, and investment and telecommunication and tourism. That's why I believe that tourism is pretty important in this region. I think that in that vein, all the major actors, both governmental and non-governmental, I believe they share a Northeast Asian prioritization of economic development. In other words, we believe and we want to be developing our economy as well. In that sense, I think the Trilateral Cooperative Secretariat is the only political and economic platform where three states can work things together and be a beacon of the next generation's cooperation. We have a long way to go. I know. I think that feeling is pretty mutual. We sometimes envy the European regional order. But think about this. for Europeans to achieve where they are, they went through 2 world wars, 1 Cold War, and along the way, many negotiations. So that we shouldn't be feeling guilty about where we are, because given our past history, I think that we have done enough. I think that we have a very strong regionalization, and I think that we have a pretty much optimistic future. But I think that we shouldn't be so much obsessed with the episodic standoffs of the diplomacy. I think for the last 25 years, the gradual and general trend toward regional cooperation has been pretty much positive. And even if you think about this, the fact that we have a TCS was inconceivable back in old days. But we have the TCS and conference like this. I think that looking back, I think we are going into a better and right direction. I have a lot of things to say, but since the time is limited, thank you very much.